Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with the January transfer move to Arsenal. 11 days to go until the end of the transfer window. Big bulk of the transfer window is already done. Still, no deals done at Arsenal. I feel next week we're moving into a critical week for any deals that are going to get done for Arsenal. Remember, the transfer window closes on Monday, the 3rd of February. Bit of a strange one, because normally the transfer window finishes on the last day of the month, but it's finishing actually on the 3rd of February, probably because there's games on that weekend. That's the same weekend when Arsenal take on Manchester City. City have brought in some of their signings already. Mamouche, yesterday speaking in press conferences and training with the Manchester City team. Will Arsenal have a signing done before that game against Manchester City? Or are they just looking on it now, the Arsenal hierarchy and Mikel Arteta and the guys who do these deals, whoever it is, because there's no Edu now, are they looking at it and thinking, right, listen, it could even be a deadline day thing now. We've, missed so many games that we could have got a player in for, that as long as we get somebody in by deadline day, that will be okay. Let's wait and see. Seemingly looking like the number one target is Sesko. Now, there's a lot of conflicting reports regarding Sesko, and I thought I'd just bring you guys up to date with what's been going on around it. We know that Sesko, number one target, or number two target. Number one target is Isak, but they know very, very difficult to get done. Second to him, Sesko. That was the one that they were going to be going for big in the summer, but they're trying to bring forward the deal, excuse me, so they can get this deal done this January transfer window. However, Leipzig seem to be publicly saying now that there is no deal and no deal is going to get done according to what they're saying. The managing director, Marcel Schäfer, told Sky Sports Germany that there's been no contact from Arsenal and he's fully expecting Sesko to stay at RB Leipzig. However, Arsenal have been talking to his representatives. I think that's quite commonly known. So him coming out and saying there's been no contact, no direct contact. Yeah, he's probably right. They probably haven't spoken directly yet to the club, but they have been speaking to his representatives. You still can't put down this deal as an impossibility. Eintracht Frankfurt were coming out and saying that there's been no contact from Man City at first. Then they were saying that there's no way they're going to sell Omar Mamouche. Omar Mamouche is now a Manchester City player. It's just that City have had to pay a lot of money for him, reportedly around £70 million. And that is about the same amount of money that Arsenal are going to have to pay if they're to tempt Sesko away from RB Leipzig this January transfer window. But it's looking increasingly difficult to get this deal done. But you can't rule it out with 1 week to go in the transfer window. The one thing I would say is that with, RB Leipzig looking to loan out Adrien Silva, who's another striker at the club, to West Ham, you start to think, are they going to let Sesko go this January transfer window? As I said yesterday, 5th in the Bundesliga, still got a big chance of getting into the Champions League. The other big target, of course, is Matheus Cunha. Again, I've been saying it for days. What happens this week, Saturday, is going to be really interesting to see if he plays for Wolverhampton Wanderers. We all saw, the altercation that he had with his manager at the end of that game the other night against Chelsea when he got substituted. He was not happy. The manager said that, publicly that he didn't like his body language and stuff like that. We know that he hasn't signed this new deal that has been put in front of him by Wolverhampton Wanderers. This definitely is something that could happen before the transfer window closes, but it's going to cost a lot of money. Again, we're talking 60 to 70 million pounds to get a deal like this done. Nottingham Forest, as we know, are in the mix for this as well. But he's definitely on Arsenal's shortlist. But will they move for the player? Matheus Cunha. Arsenal actively trying to bring in a striker or a forward. And Cunha, I think if Jesus had been fit, I couldn't have seen the Cunha one. But with Jesus being injured, Cunha makes sense. Very similar to Jesus as a player. Jesus, let's be real, 9 months minimum. Could be even longer. We saw the last injury he had to his knee. He's going to be out for a long time. You bring in somebody like Cunha, that would be a very good signing and a long-term signing. And remember, then they could maybe then go for their number one striker target, maybe a Sesko in the summer. But let's keep an eye on it. This guy, next guy, this is a really interesting story here. And this kind of, I'd say, talk about this one because this happens in transfer windows. So this guy, Manfred Ugalde, he's a Costa Rican. He plays for Spartak Moscow, centre forward, has been heavily linked with a move to Arsenal. Was in December, has been again this January transfer window, plays over in Russia for Spartak Moscow, scored 15 goals in 18 appearances. That will alert any club. So clubs like Arsenal, Manchester City, other clubs have been keeping an eye on him. Anybody's got that sort of goal-scoring record, you're going to be watching them. But the Russian outlet MASH, they've accused this player's agents of almost trying to blackmail Spartak Moscow by putting stories out there that Arsenal and Manchester City are very, very interested in signing him. And they say, this is what the publication are saying, is that they're doing this to try and get him a better deal at Spartak Moscow, trying to raise, I think he's on about 1.7 million euros. They want 3 million euros, and they're trying to use this to get him more money. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this happens in transfers windows. A player with a goal-scoring record like that could be interested in a team like Arsenal for sure with that goal-scoring record, and there could be interest there. There could be serious interest there. But also sometimes agents use that, the slightest bit of interest to then hype up the amount of money that they want to get on a current deal by saying to the club, listen, if you don't do this, he could be on his way to City, he could be on his way to Arsenal. Whether or not Arsenal are seriously interested in him or not, we'll have to wait and see. He's a centre forward, as I said, good goal scoring record, Costa Rican international. But is that the type of player that will be able to come in and hit the ground running? That is the important thing for this January signing. That player's got to hit the ground running. It can't just be a player that's going to come in and is going to take a year to get used to the Premier League. That's no good at this stage. Got to hit the ground running, and that is why this signing is difficult to do. Now, this next one, Ayden Heaven, of course, centre-back for Arsenal, one of our youth players. I spoke a few days ago about how, he's on a scholarship. Well, once you get past that scholarship now, you come to that age where you sign a full contract with the football club. Eintracht Frankfurt are the club that have been trying to sign him. Barcelona also interested in him as well. He's been in Arsenal's squads quite a few times. But last night, Ayden Heaven was at the Manchester United versus Rangers game at Old Trafford. And the big rumours are, Fabrizio Romano's reported it, many others, that he's about to sign for Manchester United. Now, this will be another youngster. Remember, Cheeto went to Manchester United as well, much to the disdain of Arsenal, one of their top prospects going to Manchester United. This could be another on the way to United. Arsenal have offered him a new contract, but he hasn't signed it. And Ayden Heaven looks set to join Manchester United. And this is the big problem you have. You have players, they come through your ranks, they're on scholarships, right? Then you can, when they reach 18, you can sign them up to a full contract, but other teams can come in as well. And other teams can come in and offer big money. We've seen it happen, as I said, with Cheeto. We've seen it happen with Amari Hutchinson. He went to Chelsea, barely played a game there, and then they just sold him on to Ipswich for big money. This is a thing that happens. Listen, Arsenal have done it before to other clubs as well. It happens at this age. So it's going to be really interesting. But it looks like we could be losing another one of our young stars to Manchester United. Oleksandr Zinchenko looks like he's on his way out of the club. If you read all the reports, Telefootball reporting and the Telegraph, that he's expected to leave Arsenal this January transfer window to join Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund currently in the hunt for a left back. This season, he's obviously fallen behind Calafiori and Mars Lewis Skelly, who's come in since he's been injured, really sees his opportunity. Managers loving him. And Zinchenko has really been out in the cold. I mean, he sort of played his first full game the other night for ages. Also has had a lot of injuries in recent times. But Zinchenko could be leaving this January transfer window and could be on his way to Borussia Dortmund. And Sverre Nypan, spoken about this player quite a few times on the show, midfielder from Rosenborg over there in Norway, exciting youngster, still being heavily linked with a move to Arsenal. Now, Give Me Sport, they claim that Martin Odegaard has been making a direct intervention here where he's trying to persuade the youngster to join Arsenal and not move to Manchester United. They're taking some of our youngsters. Odegaard's trying to persuade him, don't go United, come to Arsenal. There's some other clubs interested in him as well. Borussia Dortmund said to be very, very interested in signing him as well. It's a real hot prospect, also 18. But one to watch and see what happens this January transfer window. So those are the rumours for today. Don't forget, Arsenal got a big game tomorrow against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Could it be the audition in that game for Matheus Cunha, or could he be even left out? It's going to be very interesting to see. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you tomorrow.